All right, last time we were together, we talked about guarding our hearts. And we said that one of the ways we guard our hearts is by respecting the boundaries that God has given us, that God tells us to put around our hearts. And we said that that first boundary is just His Word. And so we guard our hearts by obeying God's Word. And another factor that plays a critical role in guarding our hearts is bonding. A bond is something that unites or binds together. So you could say that you have a common bond with all the people on your volleyball team or hockey team or basketball team. Though that sport is what unites us together. And bonding is the formation of a close relationship, especially through frequent or constant association. So basically, we form a closer relationship with each other the more time we spend with each other and the more we talk. It's pretty simple. We bond through time, talk, and touch. So you think about how do we bond with someone? How do we build trust with someone? Do you want to be able to trust your friends? You think about future relationships. Do you want to be able to trust your spouse? Do you want to have a healthy marriage? And in order for those things to happen, you have to have healthy bonding. Got to have healthy bonding in order to have healthy relationships that are built on trust. And so we're gonna jump right into it and look at what God says about healthy bonding in regards to the opposite sex. Genesis chapter 2, verses 24 and 25, it says this: "This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Now the man and his wife were both naked, but they felt no shame." 1 Corinthians 6:16 and 17. "And don't you realize that if a man joins himself to a prostitute, he becomes one body with her? For the scriptures say the two are united into one. But the person who is joined to the Lord is one spirit with Him." So at our last small group, I said that God gives us the ability to choose. We have the ability to choose Him. We have the ability to basically reject Him and say, "God, I want nothing to do with you." And we choose how we bond with people. We choose who we bond with. And these verses that we just read, they tell us that there's a right way and a wrong way to bond. The right way of bonding leads to God's intended design and His intended plan, and it leads to His intended security. The wrong way to bond leads us, what? To Satan's intended plan of stealing, killing, and destroying your life, and his intended security, which is to not have any security, to live your life in fear and scared. And you think about the boundaries that we see in movies and on shows, the bonding that our culture gives to us, that is not according to God's plan. And that's why everything is a mess in these shows. And it's like half the problems are because you're not doing this right. You're not doing this according to God's plan. And so what we're going to focus on tonight is these different, we call them relationship stages. And the stages, the different relationship stages are this progression, and it's by yourself, it's the friend stage, it's the dating stage, it's the couple stage, it's the engaged stage, and it's the married stage. And each stage has a goal, and what we're going to talk about, what we're going to discuss, and basically what you're going to help me with is I want you to talk about and discuss what is the appropriate boundaries, what is the appropriate bonding for each one of these stages. And so you're going to help figure out what is appropriate time, talk, and touch in each one of these different relationship stages, and how do we progress in these different stages so that we create healthy bonding, that we have emotional security. And if we do this right, it's going to be successful, and our relationships are going to be strong and healthy and built on trust. So the first stage that we're gonna go with tonight and talk about is just the by yourself stage. And you might not, it's like, how is this even a stage? How is this a relationship stage when I'm by myself? But it's like we've said before, you're never alone. You're never alone. You might not have any person with you in the room, but you're not alone because God is always with you. And so that first stage, the alone stage, is really the with God stage. And the goal in the alone with God stage is knowing who God is and knowing who God created you to be and growing in your relationship with God. And these are knowing who God is, knowing who God created you to be, knowing how to grow in your relationship with Him. Those are huge concepts that we have to be able to grasp and have an understanding of, so they help us navigate life, that we can do life well. And just like with people, we grow in our relationship with God by spending time with Him and by talking with Him. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 7 and 8, it says, "Do not waste time arguing over godless ideas and old wives' tales. Instead, train yourself to be godly. Physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better, promising benefit in this life and in the life to come." So this idea of training yourself to be godly, our training, when we do that, our training is prayer and worship and reading the Bible and being quiet and just listening and being still and letting God speak to us. And when He says something to us, we're obedient, those type of things. That's how we train. And yes, there's a lot of times when we do all those things in a group, but we have to be able to do those things by ourselves. We have to be able to train ourselves. And we have to know how to spend time with God and be okay where it's not, I just can't handle it, this is weird, I can't just be alone in a room with God. It's like, no, that's something that you know how to do, that's something that you look forward to. And the reason why it's important is because this alone with God stage, it's like our foundation. You're building that foundation. You're building your spiritual foundation. Knowing who God is, knowing your identity in Christ, knowing that you're loved unconditionally by God, knowing that He's never going to leave you, He's never going to forsake you. When you know Jesus and when you've trained yourself to be godly, you have that foundation. And the reason that's so important is because you've got it. Okay? You've got the foundation. You don't have to go looking for identity and love and security and acceptance in other places because you have them in Jesus. So that's the alone stage, alone with God. Now, friend stage. Y'all have friends, and you became friends with your friends because of a common bond that you had. You were in the same school, you were in the same class, you live on the same street, you play on the same team, your parents are friends, whatever it may be. The goal of friendship is community and fun and personal growth. And the more time we spend with our friends, the more we talk with them, we get to know them better, the closer our friendship becomes, the closer our bond becomes, the more we trust them. When I trust people, I can count on them. I know that they're going to be there for me. Ephesians 4:29, this is a verse we looked at last time. It says, "Don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them." Now we say, how do we bond? Time, talk, and touch. And what we talk about is important. It can help us in our relationship with Jesus, or it can distract us in our relationship with Jesus. So in our friendships, this is what we have to think about. What am I talking about? And am I guarding my heart? Do I have the appropriate boundaries and bonding with my friendships and the amount of time that I spend with them and what we talk about? Because like I said, we can either encourage and point our friends to Jesus, or we can distract them and point them away from Jesus. So, our first question of the night is just this. How do you train yourself to be godly? How do you train yourself to be godly? How do you determine the appropriate amount of time to spend with your friends? What is the appropriate talk with your friends? How do you stop, or how do you get out of a conversation that is not appropriate? And how do you guard your heart with your friends? Okay, so we've got the alone stage, the friend stage. The next stage is the dating stage. This is where it gets fun. So the goal of dating is I want to get to know this person. I want to get to know someone. And you think about it, ultimately, you're going to marry someone that you date. You're going to marry someone that you date. And who you marry is one of the most important decisions of your life. Basically, knowing Jesus and giving your life to Jesus and getting married. The two most important decisions in your life. And so, you should date people that are following Jesus. Date people that are following Jesus. And a good way to think about it is just this. You, as an individual, you pursue Jesus. You follow Jesus with all your heart. And as you're doing that, seeking Jesus, following Him, look on your left, look on your right, and say, who else is doing this? Who else is following Jesus with all their heart? And the people that are following Jesus with all their heart, it's like, those are the people you should date. The people that are following Jesus with all their heart. This is what the Apostle Paul says, 2 Corinthians 6:14. Don't team up with those who are unbelievers. How can righteousness be a partner with wickedness? How can light live with darkness? So in this dating stage, I'm inviting a girl to an event. Do you want to go to the mini golf? Do you want to go to this game? Do you want to go to the movies? Do you want to go to this restaurant? Whatever. You're going to an event together. And you're inviting this person to get to know you. And there's a chance that I could get rejected. They could say, no, I don't want to do this. Okay? And so that's where, hey, I don't know necessarily what's going to happen. But you're putting yourself out there, and if this person says yes, you're investing in that person. You're investing the resource of your time. And when you go on this event or to this event together, you're just learning about them. You're learning about who they are. You're learning about their interests. When you're talking, you're not sharing your deepest, darkest secrets with this person. Your talk is appropriate, and it's purposeful. Where it's like I'm getting information. I'm learning about this person. I'm getting to know each other. And what's interesting is you might decide like, okay, we go on a date, we go on a couple dates, and you can decide like, you know what, I just don't think we have that much in common, and as we just don't have the same interests. And kind of as we've spent time together, we come to that realization that, you know what, we shouldn't be in a dating relationship, we should just be in a friendship. And if that's the case, that's why we've guarded our hearts, and that's why we've established boundaries, and we haven't crossed any boundaries, because, you know what, if we still want to be like, hey, this isn't working to be a dating relationship, we can still be friends. And it's not awkward and weird because we've been guarding our heart and we haven't crossed any boundaries. So, question time. Here is the question. In the dating phase, how much time should you spend together and how much time should you spend in a group? What does purposeful and appropriate talk look like during this dating stage? And what do you consider safe touch during the dating phase? I know that when this whole concept of dating and relationships and boundaries and bonding and all this stuff, it might be like, what in the world? I've never heard this before. What are you talking about? But we believe that this is God's design, and this is how God wants us to do relationships, and this is what healthy relationships look like. And so in our stages, you've been on a few dates with someone, you enjoy being with them, they enjoy being with you, you enjoy getting to know them, and really what has to happen is after a few dates, you got to figure out, what are we doing? What is the goal here? Where is this relationship headed? You can call it we're going to define this relationship, but you need to decide, hey, are we going to keep dating and kind of take that next step, or are we going to say, let's just be friends? if you decide to keep dating, you're going to go and I don't know if these are the best names for it or not, but we'd say that it's the couple stage. You decide that you enjoy going to events together, you enjoy being with each other, you enjoy spending time together. So you're going to be a couple, and what that means is it's just us. Okay, we're not going to date other people. Things are going to get a little bit more serious. You continue to learn more about that person. You're spending more and more time together, just you two, not necessarily in a group. And your time together is informal, meaning that you're spending time together in different situations and in different scenarios. And you can observe and see how this person handles themselves in these different situations and scenarios. And you may be spending time with their family and seeing how their family works and how they treat their family. And you are looking to see, when they're in a vulnerable situation, what happens? How do they react? How do they treat people when they're stressed out? And so you begin to have deeper conversations. You begin to have what we'd say is appropriate displays of affection. Okay, appropriate displays of affection. And really what you're trying to decide is this someone that I could see myself marrying? Okay, and the challenge in this stage of the relationship is, hey, I still have to guard my heart. There's still boundaries in place. I still have to be careful with this whole bonding thing, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to decide is this person that I can see myself with for the rest of my life. And we remember, our boundaries are for our protection. And in the words of one of the all-time greats, Tom Petty, the waiting is the hardest part. Okay, the waiting is the hardest part, because you want to be with this person, you want to spend more time with this person, you want to take it to the next level, but boundaries, you gotta wait. So, question: how does your time spent together change from the dating stage to the couple stage? What is honest and appropriately vulnerable talk mean? What is appropriate touch during this couple stage? How does someone know if they're ready or not ready for the next relationship stage? And what do I do if I feel like we're over bonding? All right, next stage, next phase, the engagement. Okay, we're getting serious. So you've asked this person if they would marry you, and they have said yes. And so you were engaged, and the whole point of engaged is to prepare to be married. And this is a time of anticipation. This is a time of celebration. You're spending time just exclusively with each other. And the conversation is more vulnerable. You're showing more and more affection to each other. And remember, again, the waiting is the hardest part. And an example that I use for this is a good one here, is pizza. Okay, pizza is our example for waiting. So, I'm hungry, I'm starving, I haven't eaten for 8 hours, and I want a pizza. That's really what I want. So I go to Papa Murphy's, and I get a pizza. And it's sitting in my car. I'm sitting in my car. Can I just gobble down that pizza? No, that's gross, because it's Papa Murphy's. So it's just dough with some cheese and pepperoni on it, and sauce. That's disgusting. I can't just eat it. So I have to wait. I'm super hungry. I go home. What do I have to do? I have to turn on the oven. As soon as the oven's on, do I throw in that pizza? Well, I can, but I still have to wait. The oven has to preheat. The oven has to get to 425 degrees. Then I can put the pizza in. And the oven's at 425 degrees. The pizza's in. What has to happen? I still have to bake or cook the pizza. It still has to be in for 16 to 18 minutes. Okay? But once that timer goes off, I pull the pizza out. Do I start mowing it down? Well, I can, but what's going to happen? Okay? I think everyone has experienced it when you eat pizza right out of the oven, or as soon as it gets served to you, and you burn the roof of your mouth. The pizza burn. Okay? And so ideally, I have to wait a little bit longer for that pizza to cool off. But as soon as it's not going to burn my mouth, I'm going to dig in. I'm going to dig in. And so there's all these, I'm super hungry and I want to eat, and this pizza looks so good, but what do I have to do? If I want the best tasting pizza and I don't want to get sick from eating raw dough and I don't want to burn the roof of my mouth, what do I have to do? I have to wait. The waiting is the hardest part. So that's a whole, throughout the dating, throughout the engagement, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. We're engaged, we've waited. The final stage is the marriage stage, where we've dedicated ourselves to each other, we've committed ourselves to each other, we're in this covenant relationship with each other. Genesis 2:24. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. So now your time together is unblocked. You can spend as much time with this person as you possibly can because you're in the same house and you're married. And because you're married, you can be completely vulnerable with this person. You can share and talk about anything with this person because they're your spouse. And that's how God intended it to be. So our last questions of the night. So engaged stage. Specifically the engaged stage. What is appropriate touch in the engaged stage? What is appropriate time in the engaged stage? What is the appropriate talk in the engaged stage? In the married stage, your time is unblocked. What does that mean? What does unblocked time mean in the married stage? Why do you think God's design is for intimate touch only during the marriage stage? Now, one other side note, if you got the Bible app and you kind of want to dig deeper into this, there's a great Devo plan. This is called Dating. It's just Dating on the Bible app. A great reading plan. It's a 7-day reading plan. If you want to kind of dig deeper into this stuff, check it out.